Shining Soul, welcome or welcome back to my channel. So for today's reading, we are going to be looking into who you were in a past life. I love doing past life readings. They're one of my favorite types of readings out of all the different types that I do. They're just so fascinating, interesting, and it's absolutely insane how they always connect to your current life, your current incarnation. So we're going to be diving into a lot of different aspects of whatever past lives come through here today for you. So you may be called to multiple piles, and if so, that just means that this is kind of highlighting multiple different past lives here for you. So for pile 1, we have the Matriarch, Mother of Homestead card, as well as Unakite for the crystal. Pile 2, we have Arthur, the Champion of Avalon with Red Jasper. Pile 3, we have Dawn, the Red Shepherd with Tourmalated Quartz. For pile 4, we have Hades with Sodalite. Go ahead and choose your pile or piles, and I hope you enjoy your reading. Hello, pile 1. So you did choose the Matriarch, Mother of Homestead with rejection, opportunities, and consequences, as well as the lovely Unakite. So let's go ahead and stick this over here. So we've got lots of different cards for this reading, and each one here we're going to be diving into a different aspect of this past life. So let's just dive right in. This is your personality. Oh wow, we've got Cerftified Ascension. Move into your true self, rise above the darkness, the light is here. You didn't have the personality of somebody who, I'm hearing you were optimistic. Like even if you were in a difficult or dark situation, you were somebody who could always see the light, who could always ascend past it. You had a very bright personality, pile 1. You were very much somebody who didn't get caught up in the small stuff and didn't allow any difficulties or negativity to bring your personality down. You were always kind of that shining light in the room, as we see all this gold energy. So very much like a golden shining type of personality you had. So this card is going to tell us what type of energy, aura you had, and type of being you were. So we have the Divine Matrix, interconnectedness, synchronicity, and you'll have to forgive me with this last word. This is a brand new deck, and I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that one. So this is very interesting. I'm going to tap into the book here quickly for this one and see what I can kind of get coming out, because starting with this personality and then this card, I'm feeling more like you weren't human, pile 1. This is a non-human past life, but let's consult the book. As I said, this is a brand new deck. I just got this one yesterday. Beautiful Gateway of Light Activation by Kyle Gray. So let's check out the Divine Matrix here. Okay, so it says everything is connected. This is explaining what the Divine Matrix is. So everything is connected. Everything that was, is, and ever will be is connected by an invisible bond of energy uniting every living being from the past, present, and even future. It's interesting because we're doing a past life read. This isn't a new idea. Every great mystic through the ages has understood that everything is one, and new scientists are beginning to provide evidence for it. The best way to describe the connection is as a lattice or grid, a divine matrix. We're all points on this grid, and we're all connected through it. It links us to our ancestry and loved ones, aspects of ourselves, past, present, and future, and also the ancient and divine wisdom held in the quantum field of the universe. This card shows a giant stargate opening up to the universe and a piece of sacred geometry known as the flower of life. This is quite literally a two-dimensional image of the Divine Matrix, and the information held within it can help us begin to understand the inner and outer workings of this incredible universe. Wow, okay, so pile 1, what I'm picking up from that is that you were more so of a cosmic being that understood the interconnectedness and the synchronicity of the divine matrix, of universal consciousness. Like this card says, we are all one. And that makes sense why you had this personality of this golden shining light and being able to ascend past any darkness, because you really were a being that was fully connected to the cosmic divine matrix. So I do feel like this is a past life, pile one, where you were an ET. I'll grab the pendulum here just for some visual confirmation for you, pile one. So is this a past life as an ET, a cosmic being? Yes. Okay. Getting a yes here. When my pendulum goes this way, it's a yes. If you see it go this way, it's a no. So we are getting a yes. Wow, very cool. All right, pile one, starting us off with a non-human past life. I like that. Let's keep going. So this is what you did or what your job was. Oh, we have healing, restoring hope. Ah, that makes sense. If you were a healer, a cosmic healer, you had this energy or this personality of always rising above the darkness and having that golden shining energy for your personality. That makes a lot of sense. So you were, a lot of colors coming through I'm noticing are blue and purples, and that's really pulling me towards Arcturians because they are very high vibrational healers. So for some of you, I'm actually picking up this could be a past life as an Arcturian ET specifically. So with this healing, I feel like you were, that was your main job. That was your main focus in this past life. You were a healer through and through. You were healing your own people. You were healing other races of beings. You were healing and restoring hope to those who truly needed it in the cosmos. So here we do have your family life. Ooh, interesting. We've got the 7 of Cups. So this is just kind of highlighting the overall energy of your family dynamic in this past life. So with the 7 of Cups, there's sometimes some unrealistic desires, some imagination, and some illusion here. So what I'm actually picking up for you, pile one, is you didn't exactly have the connection with your family that you would have wished for. Maybe there was some illusion where on the outside it looked like you had a very interconnected, close family, but on the inside, maybe there was some unrealistic desires that certain family members were wishing or hoping that you would live up to. And I'm feeling like you, because of that, because of these unrealistic desires, you didn't have a very strong connection because you felt pushed a lot by your family in this past life, even though on the outside, your family did pretty much hold it together and make it seem like things were okay. That's where that illusion is coming from. But there was some push and pull. There was very strong personalities in your family. And some people just had too high of standards, like these very unrealistic desires, and others could not meet them, which caused tension within the family. This card is highlighting what shadow you healed in this past life. So this is the Kali deck. I am going to read here from this book, another one of my new decks that I recently got, but let's see what shadow you were able to overcome and heal in this past life. So this card is talking about to receive divine inheritance of blessings and support for sacred fulfillment. Certain karmic conditions that resonate at a lower frequency need to be cleared away. Talks about letting go of negativity that does not belong in your world. So this is a really powerful shadow that you actually healed, because in this past life, you healed some negative, low vibrational karma. So you actually were able to clear away some physical low vibrational energy that was dragging your aura down, dragging your soul down. So you actually released some heavy, stagnant energy and did a nice release of karma. So in this past life, you released that, which allowed the lives that you had after your later incarnations to have an easier time receiving sacred blessings, fulfillment, and support from the universe. We've got the environment or time frame here. And we've got the You Are Worth It card. So what I'm instantly being pulled to is just the beautiful sky. And notice how in the sky we have a flower, and that wouldn't necessarily be where a flower would be. So I do feel like with this card, they're kind of pointing to the fact that you were this blooming flower in the cosmos. You know, this was your past life. You were living up in the clouds, in the sky, in the stars, and you were blooming up there. You were thriving, you were surviving. So this is confirmation again that you were a cosmic ET being, and the environment you lived in was the stars. Here we've got a look into what your spirituality was like, what your, oh wow. Yeah, I figured it would be a pretty good card for this one, considering you were an Arcturian. But we've got Lord Shiva Transcendence. Rise up, honor your inner force, steps are being given, dance with the universe. So yes, this is your spiritual connection and your spirituality energy in this past life. So you were one with the universe, pile one. You were transcending. That's the same energy here as ascension, right? Rising above, transcending, being one with the universe. All of these three cards here are kind of hitting on those same points of energy where you were tapped into the collective consciousness as well. You notice in the background of Lord Shiva, we have the stars and, the cosmos as well. So you had a very strong, very, very strong spiritual connection. These tarot cards here are going to show us your strength and then your weakness. So we have the Six of Cups for your strength. This is talking about nostalgia. This is kind of giving me this same energy that was your personality, where you were always that shining light. You always had optimism and positivity, and you didn't really get caught up in the lower vibrational energies, in that darkness, which we see as well with the shadow that you were able to release. But there's just so much innocence and joy in the Six of Cups. It's just such a warming, beautiful, heart-centered energy. So that was your strength. Your strength was your essence, your joy, your innocence, your ability to always rise above the darkness and focus on the light, focus on the joy, focus on the love. So what a beautiful strength to have. So for your weakness with the Emperor card, this card it's a very masculine energy. It's kind of that father masculine energy, and it has power, structure, domination, and some patriarchal energy as well in this card. So what's interesting is your weakness is kind of the opposite of your strength, because I would peg your strength at a more feminine energy, right? And then your weakness here is definitely that masculine energy. And it makes sense because Arcturians aren't, and and most ETs for that matter, they really aren't after power for things like domination. And they see the feminine and the masculine as even, as equal. They do not see one as greater than the other. It's that collective consciousness. So it's interesting that an ET would struggle with those types of concepts of domination, of using your power against something else. This is not what you did at all. I mean, you were a healer. You were such a beautiful, loving being that really lived, spoke, experienced life, all of it from your heart space, from your soul center. There was no ego. You did not have an ego. So those more egotistical energies that we have here as humans, those were your weaknesses, because you just didn't understand those concepts, because you were so interconnected with, this transcendent energy that power and domination, or power in that way of domination, just it didn't comprehend for you. Here with this card, we do have a lesson that you did not complete in this past life. Oh, wow. We've got the angelic frequency. Angels are here. You are safe, potent connection. You did not connect with angels in this past life. I'm hearing you should have. I don't know if maybe you were supposed to connect with angels to help you with your healing work in this past life, but it's interesting. You did not complete I guess I call it an angelic lesson. You did not complete having this potent connection with angels. So for some reason, we're supposed to have a deeper connection with angels in this past life, but you just didn't do that. You did not complete that. So very, very interesting. Pile 1, I'm getting spirit say there's, for some of you that are listening to this right now, you feel a pull to angels, and some of you feel no pull at all. Like you are not interested in angels at all. And it's interesting. Spirit is telling me this is both of these, groups of people. Both of these feelings are coming from this past life because you did not complete this. Because some of your souls are in the group where you're like, okay, I didn't have the angelic connection I was supposed to, and now I'm yearning for it in this past life. And then there's this other group of souls where you're like, okay, I didn't get the angelic connection I was supposed to in this past life, and I feel no need to connect to them in this life. So there's either that need to connect now or a block. Maybe not necessarily a block, but like I just feel nothing when I think of angels, or they don't interest me. So it's interesting, pile 1, how there's like two groups, how not completing this in this past life has actually affected some of you differently. Here we have how you passed away. We the Hathors, deep love, mother's milk, birth as a portal. That's beautiful. Again, I feel like this is bringing in that same interconnected energy where you understood about reincarnation. You understood that death did not mean the end. There was deep love. There was deep understanding for birth, for the portal of death, because death means birth. And when you are on this wave that ETs are of interconnectedness and oneness, you understand that. You don't have fear of death. So you had no fear of ending this life, or this life coming to an end, let's say. Now, I feel like you did live a very long life. It does feel like as this ET being, you were alive for a couple hundred human years if we were to compare it, because in the cosmos, there is no such thing as linear time like we have here. So it would be probably around a couple hundred years that you did live as this being. And when it came to the end, you just had so much deep love and gratitude and acceptance for all the healing you did, all of the things that you were able to accomplish in this life. And you were ready to then reincarnate, go through that portal of death, which then comes or turns into the portal of birth. And you started, your next life, your next incarnation. I'm being drawn to like going through here is like a door, and then we've got this like portal here. So it's almost like when you were done with this past life, your soul had done what it needed to do, and you came to the end of it. You kind of you went through that transition, that portal into your next reincarnation. There was just so much love and completeness when you did end this life and start the next incarnation. And here with your last card, we do have the trine sextile. Oh, symbiosis. So this card is how you are being influenced from this past life currently in your current incarnation, your current life. This card talks about finding others that can help to lift you up and grow and transform into what you are supposed to be. So what's funny is I feel like this is saying that your past self, pile 1, is the catalyst for you to be changing into who you are in this life. So if you just feel a pull currently to follow your soul's calling and to like genuinely live this life out as your greatest self, then that feeling is coming from this past life, because this past life has given you, this past life has given you so much strength, resources, it cleared karma. So it's almost like your past self, because of all of the hard work that you did in this past life, all of the things that you accomplished in this past life, it's actually the catalyst for you to change into the best version of yourself in this life. There's so many resources that you actually have within your soul, your mind, your body, your spirit from this past life that you might not even be aware of consciously yet, and those might still be coming to the surface for you on your journey, pile one. But you have this pull in your life currently to be the best version of yourself and to actually, live this life how you want to. And that's coming from this past life where you were able to clear some karma to make this symbiosis, to make this transition into your best self easier and smoother. This past life set you up soul-wise to be able to become who you are always supposed to be in this life. And because you were this high vibrational cosmic being, I do feel like you knew that all of the things you were doing in this past life were going to be helpful for you in a future life. So you really did the work here. You really set things up so that when you incarnated again, you didn't have a bunch of karma dragging you down. You didn't have things and obstacles that were stopping you from getting to that place that you deserve. And what's interesting is the card you chose has that opportunities word on it. So I do feel like this past life has given, with her handout, has given you so many opportunities and so many chances to become who you are supposed to be, your most powerful version of yourself in this life. So wow, what an interesting, magical, cosmic past life, pile one. I had a feeling there was going to be a few piles in this reading that weren't necessarily human past lives. So very, very interesting. I do hope you enjoyed that reading and looking back into one of your past lives. If you did like this reading or anything resonated, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, share your experience in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss out on another reading. Sending you so much love and light. I hope you have a magical day. See you in the next video. Hello, pile two. You chose the Arthur, Champion of Avalon card with the Red Jasper. So we're just going to go ahead and set that over to the side. So we've got each card here is a different aspect of your past life. So let's dive right into it, starting with your personality. Oh, we've got Krishna, devotion. Trust your spiritual guidance. Your commitment has been recognized. You are loved unconditionally. So this gives me it's like that word devotion is kind of coming out at me. So you were a very, personality-wise, a very devoted person. You kept your word. You were a man or a woman of your word. If you said something, you meant it. You didn't really play around with deceit or lies or any type of that sort of energy. You were a very truthful, trustful, devotional person. You were committed. You had that type of energy where your words matched your actions. You were very aligned. You weren't, shady in any type of way. Here we do have telling us what type of being you were. So we've got the Stellar Gateway Activation, Infinite Potential Manifestation Vortex. Okay, I'm instantly drawn to the pyramids. We've got Egyptian symbolism all over this card. So what this is actually saying, pile two, is that you were a human in this past life, but you were specifically an Egyptian human. So if you've ever had a feeling or an inkling that you might have had a past life in Egypt, well, here we are confirming that for you, pile two. Here we have your job or what you did. Oh, surrender, letting go of the darkness. Okay, so let me tap into this psychically and see what's coming through here for me. So you were living in Egypt, and what were you doing? Letting go of darkness and surrender. Spirit, what was pile two doing? Ah, interesting. I'm hearing Spirit say working with the plants. As you notice, there's a bunch of, this is all greenery. Let's just get a nice close-up. All plants. So you were a healer, but specifically you used plant medicine. So I'm getting that some of you worked with aromatherapy. You were making oils, or some of you were making creams, medicines, different types of things that people could use to help surrender their illness or surrender their darkness, whichever way you want to put it. But you were kind of a shamanic healer in that way. You were a natural, organic healer. You would go out, you would forage for your ingredients, and then you would go back to your home. You would home make all of these different types of remedies, and then you would sell them to people. So this is what you did as a job. Let's take a look into your family life. Oh, wonderful. This is one of the best cards to come out when talking about family or relationships. We've got the 10 of Cups as we see the rainbow in the back, the happy couple with their newborn baby. This is satisfaction. This is completion. So to me, that says that you had the exact family life that you wanted. Whatever dynamics you wanted in your family, you had it in this past life. It was a very loving, very whole type of family. It feels like everybody in your family were close. There weren't any, secrets or negativity bringing anybody down. It was a very open, loving, accepting type of environment. So very beautiful family that you had. This card here is going to let us know what shadows you healed in this past life. So this is the 𝙍𝙀𝘼𝘿𝙄𝙉𝙂 card. Forgive my pronunciation. So this is one of my newer decks. So let's go into the book and see what shadow it was that you were able to clear here. So this card is talking about conquering anything that alienates you from your truth and creative power, as well as the effectiveness of your prayers and your connection to spirit. So this is actually the shadow that you were able to get over was your ego. You were able to understand your human ego and actually transcend past it. So that's very awesome. You were not somebody who was living in an ego state of mind in this past life. You had transcended that, and you were not being alienated or kept down by the ego. You had made friends with the ego, understood it, and it had become something not of an enemy, but of a friend. So your ego did not weigh you down in this life. That was the shadow that you were able to overcome, was the ego itself. This card is your environment or time frame you are living in. So we have expansion, such an interesting card. So to me, that means that, because we already hit the mark that you were a human in Egypt, living in Egypt. So I do feel like this is saying the time frame was when Egypt was expanding. There was great expansion in the realm of that area. And you'll have to forgive me, I'm not very good with history or dates, so you will have to do a little quick Google search and kind of see what periods Egypt has expanded, because there's probably a few different periods where there was great expansion in that region. So yeah, I would just look into that, and whatever calls to you when you're researching that pile too is going to be the right date. So if you are interested in getting a little bit more specific on the exact time frame you were living in Egypt, then really that is your key, is whenever there was, I'm hearing Spirit say, huge, massive, great expansion in Egypt. That's when you were living there. This card is going to let us know what your spiritual connection was, as well as like your spirituality. So Green Tara, supreme protection. You are protected, cords are being cut, move beyond limitation and trust. This is beautiful. So this says that, especially with you getting over the ego, I feel like there was some limitation for you spiritually at the beginning of your life, maybe when you didn't quite understand it or ego was still quite loud for you, but those cords were cut. You did end up having trust, and you did understand that spirit supremely protected you and divinely had your back throughout all things. So in this life, you started off with not very much spirituality as a child and a teenager, pile two, but as you got into your adolescence and into your adulthood, you actually became a very, very spiritual person. You had a very deep connection, a very trusting, protective type of connection with spirit. You knew that they always had your back, and you trusted the protection that they did give to you. Here with the tarot, we do have your strength and then weakness. So we have the King of Cups for your strength. And for your weakness, oh my gosh, we have the Strength card for your weakness. Wow, that's so interesting. Okay, so let's just go ahead back into the King of Cups and talk about your strength first. This card has a lot of balance, strength, and there's actually generosity as well in this king. So I do feel like your strength was, and it kind of matches a lot here with what we were saying, as you were somebody who wasn't shady, right? You were a very trustworthy, a very devoted, committed type of person in your personality. So your strength makes sense that you were this strong, balanced, and generous type of person. Those were your main strengths. Now your weakness with the Strength card. So this card talks about some control. It also has patience. It almost is like that inner calm, that peace, that courage, control. It's not strength from a place of like wild strength. It's like a calm. You know, you see the lion is laying down. They don't look like they're about to use their ferocious strength, but their inner strength and their courage. So I do feel like a bit of control was a courage and control. Those are kind of the two coming through for me as some of your weaknesses, pile two. So you had a bit of an issue with control, and I don't know if that means just like maybe you were too generous. Maybe your control was you had a hard time saying no to people. Something like that. As well as that courage, there was some times where I feel like, or you feel like, as I'm kind of channeling you here in this past life, it feels like you wish you were a little bit more courageous. You played it safe a little bit here and there. It's like, for instance, maybe there was an ingredient you really wanted, but it was a bit of a dangerous place to go get it. You would usually let your fears take over, and then you wouldn't be as courageous to go out and get that, whereas maybe your neighbor was going out and getting that ingredient and you've seen that they were able to be courageous. So that was your weakness here, was that control, almost being too generous sometimes, and then that lack of courage at times. Here we have got a lesson you did not complete. The Stargate heart. Heart chakra opening, unlocking generosity. That's interesting because we were just talking about being generous as one of your strengths, but it's saying here with this card that you didn't completely open up your heart chakra. There was still a little bit of blockage in the heart chakra, which actually maybe is why you were lacking some of that courage. So your heart chakra was, I feel like it was quite strong in this past life. It's not like it was completely closed down and blocked, but you did not completely finish opening it. So this past life definitely helped you to open it, but at the end of this life, you did not complete that lesson of fully opening, expanding, and unlocking your heart chakra. So next, let's go into how you passed away. We have Messenger, serious energy, bringing harmony and balance. Okay, so let me tap in here and see what I'm getting coming through for this. It almost feels like somebody brought you some sort of message. You notice how the person is holding their hands out. It's like somebody came to your door and brought you a message that you were sick or that you had some sort of illness. But what's interesting is this message actually brought you harmony and peace. Okay, so that's what I'm getting coming through. You were sick for quite some time and no one could figure out why. Pile two, you had just fallen ill in this past life. No one, I'm feeling you went to multiple doctors. I mean, you were even a healer yourself. You could not even personally figure out what was wrong with you. You kind of just fell ill all of a sudden. And I feel like there was quite a large amount of time where you were fighting this illness with no answer as to what it was. And you did not know how it was going to end. There was no harmony because you had no knowledge of what was going on. Somebody came to your door one day, handed you the knowledge. They gave you this message and they said, I've figured it out. This is why you're sick. And as soon as this person gave you this message, it brought you instant harmony and peace because you now had the knowledge to understand what was actually happening and you weren't fearful anymore. Once you did find out what this sickness was, I do feel like you understood that it was something that you could not cure. This was an uncurable sickness. And that actually brought you peace because then you understood that you had a set amount of time left and you were able to accomplish the things that you wanted to finish up before you passed away. So you actually passed away with balanced energy. You got to say your goodbyes, you got to see everybody, you got to spend time with your family, because before somebody brought you this news and this message of what it was, you had no clue if you were gonna live, if you were gonna die, if you would recover, if you would be paralyzed. Like, you had no idea what the end goal was. So once you found out that, okay, this was uncurable, it actually gave you so much peace to just continue living your life how you wanted to in the most full way until your time to pass came. So wow, so interesting. That's a very specific thing that came through with that illness. Your last card, this is going to let us know how you're being influenced from this past life in your current life. So we have got the square, semi-square, quincux tension card. So this card actually talks about having the opportunity to build strength and learn to reconcile conflicts within. It talks about resolving inner conflicts. It's like that inner tension. And what's interesting is in this past life, you cleared that shadow of ego. You understood ego and you figured it out. So because you did that in this past life, you actually have an easier time with internal conflict and figuring that tension out, pile 2, than the next person. You have an easier time with inner reflection. You have an easier time looking at your ego, and you have an easier time dismantling any inner tension. And that's all coming from this past life and the work that you did in this past life. It has now carried on into your current incarnation. So let's take a look. The keywords here, we had companionship, nobility, and self-realization. It's interesting that self-realization is definitely that ego that you went through, as well as that connection with spirit that you had. Nobility and championship, I do feel like those are really talking about your job here, because you had a very noble job of helping to help people heal. As well, you had a very noble personality, so that's also touching on that. But you had companionship with your clients, with your customers, with the people you were healing. You were this champion. You were this champion of this past life where you kind of went out with valor. Even though you may have passed from sickness, you were so noble in this life. You accomplished so many things and you lived a full, beautiful life, and you were able to really open up your heart, be generous, help others, use your knowledge to heal others. You had a beautiful connection with spirit. You lived in, a beautiful place. You got to experience the expansion of Egypt. You had a really close, loving family. Ego didn't take over. So this is just a really beautiful life. Altogether, I feel like there is nothing negative, pile 2, that you are harboring or carrying from this past life. This was just, a beautiful, complete experience for your soul, and there is nothing but positive energy following you from this past life in Egypt. So that is your reading. I do hope you enjoyed it, pile 2. I hope it was fun and insightful tapping into one of your past lives. If you did enjoy it or it resonated, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, share your experience in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss out on another reading. Sending you so much love and light. I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you in the next video. Hello, pile 3. So you did choose Dawn, the Red Shepherd with the Tourmalated Quartz. So we're just going to go ahead and set this over here and come back at the end. So each of these cards here are a different aspect of your past life. So let's dive right into it, starting with your personality. We have faith, humanity, and benevolence. Stay calm, trust the good in yourself and others, see the light in the world. That's a beautiful type of energy to have as a personality. You are very, like it says, very calm, very peaceful. You're the kind of person that when everyone else is acting in chaos, you are able to stay calm. You are able to see the good in the situation. I'm feeling like you are a very optimistic person. And again, with that benevolence, so you weren't, you weren't a bad person at all. You had a very good energy, a very good personality. You were there to help others. You were empathetic, compassionate, caring. You had just a very lovely personality. This is going to let us know what type of being you were. So we have Chamber of the Violet Flame, karmic release, radical transformation. Ooh, that radical transformation part is very interesting here. So not every past life is going to be a human past life. So this one is not feeling very human to me, pile 3. I almost want to say that you were some type of being that could transform, that actually had the power to transform itself from one thing to something else. Now, I'm not picking up on what exactly you were, pile 3, as I believe that those watching this, there are going to be different scenarios for each person. But let's grab the pendulum and get some visual confirmation if you were some sort of shape-shifting, transforming being. Whether that means maybe you were an animal that could shapeshift. Maybe you were a cosmic being, an ET that could shapeshift. Maybe you were a fairy that could shapeshift. So for everybody, it's going to be different on specifically what. But let's ask, was pile 3 a shape-shifting being of some sort in this past life? Getting a yes confirmation. Ooh, very interesting pile. Okay. Yes. Okay. So this is a yes. When my pendulum goes this way, it would be a no. So we are getting a yes confirmation that you were some sort of shape-shifting being. Very, very cool. Next, let's see what you did as a job or what you spent your time doing. We have the effort, conquering your demons. Ooh. Okay, and it's interesting because with this card right next to it, we have that karmic release, that violet energy, which is transmutation. So conquering your demons, let's see what I can get as I tap in psychically here for this. So I'm hearing Spirit say no job. Pile 3 has no job. So you weren't like working a 9-to-5 type of a thing like a human being would be doing. You more so had a purpose rather than a job. And your purpose in this past life was to actually fight the darkness, I guess. Is that a good way to put it? Fight and transmute any type of low-level negative energy or karmic energy that was no longer suiting you or others. So I do feel like you were a warrior in some sorts, like a light worker warrior. You were able to travel around and use your transforming, shape-shifting abilities to fight this lower level energy, to put in that effort to conquer it and transmute it, release it. Use that violet flame energy to take the low level situation or environment energy and transmute it, conquer it into something of light. So you were a very strong light worker. And it makes sense why you had that benevolent type of personality, because you were working for the light. You were working for benevolent beings. You were not working for the dark per se. You were definitely bringing more light to the world than dark. Let's take a look into your family dynamics. Oh, interesting. We have the artist. Now, this is a added major arcana that the artist, or I guess the creator of this tarot deck made. And it holds the energy of passion, creation, and being like a visionary. So to me, when that's coming up for your family, it's kind of saying that there was a lot of passion, a lot of love in between the family members that you had, or the people that you considered family members. Now that's where that kind of visionary energy is coming in. Is I do believe your family in this past life was more so people that weren't blood related, but people that you just felt kin to, that you felt that connection to. You were the artist of creating and manifesting your own soul family, your own kind of tribe of people. So I don't know if you were very close with your blood family, or maybe you just didn't really necessarily have too many pile 3, but you had a large group of, family. I'll kind of put that in quotations, people you considered family. You had a very large group of family around you, and they were all passionate, they were all creative, they were all visionaries, just like you, with that transformation energy. This card here is going to let us know what shadow you were able to heal in this past life. So this is one of the Kali cards, Tourmalated. You'll have to forgive my pronunciation. That might not be quite right. But let's go ahead and pop into the book for this one. This is one of my newer decks. So let's see what shadow you were able to release in this life. So number 6. So this card actually talks about being able to outgrow issues that are persistent and last a long time, things that appear to be beyond your capacity to overcome. This confronting powerful obstacle may be an attachment, stuck pattern, or unhealthy misuse of energy. It may also be a set of circumstances you created or that another has imposed on you. So whatever the cause, this card is saying that you were able to bring that to an end. You were able to arise, respond to that threat or that negativity to your well-being, and you were able to have freedom and fulfillment in the end. So there was some sort of obstacle, great obstacle in this past life that you were faced with that was confronting you. It was, some sort of pattern or unhealthy energy, but you were actually able to face that shadow, overcome it, heal it, and come out on the other end successful and break free from it. Next, we've got the environment or time frame here. Oh, wow. So we've got the Inner Truths card. This gives me a lot of like the energy of a Fae realm. Because we were talking about, you are some sort of shape-shifting being. But also what I'm noticing is, if you notice in each little cavern here, there is a different type of environment. So this kind of checks out where this card is giving us a lot of different environments. And pile 3, there's going to be those of you watching who have had this life in different environments. So again, this is just confirmation that yes, you were a shape-shifting being, but for some of you watching, the environment that you were living in is going to be different. So let's look at a nice close-up look. So we've got that one over there. We have got a bit of an environment here. We've got more tropical here, snowy here, and very lush here. And we've got a little bit over here too. So, and we have cosmos up here as well. So if any of those environments kind of pull to your soul or speak to you a little bit more, pile 3, then that's going to be the environment that you spent most of your time in this past life. Let's look into your spiritual connection. We have 𝙍𝙀𝘼𝘼𝘿𝙄𝙉 light activation. Shine your light. Your internal guidance is coming through loud and clear. So to me, this is saying you had a very activated spiritual connection. You very much were shining your light, and we were saying you were a light worker. So this makes sense. You were very connected. You were tapped in. Like it says, your internal guidance was loud and clear. You were very aware of spirituality. You had a deep connection with it. You were always tapped in, and you were always activating that spiritual light within your soul and your heart. So you had a very, very spiritual past life here. And that makes sense with the type of, non-human being you were. You would have understood those concepts a little bit more or a little bit easier than humans do, because humans have ego and it can be a little bit more difficult to have that spiritual connection. Whereas if you were maybe a fairy or something like that, you would have been born into spirituality with a deeper connection versus a human. With these two, we're going to see your strength. So we have the 6 of Pentacles, and then as well your weakness. We've got the 10 of Wands. So that's very interesting. So let's go to the 6 of Pentacles for your strength. This has a lot of energy of balance, compassion, caring, giving, empathy. As you see this lady, she's holding the scale and she's kind of helping those maybe less fortunate than her. And that gives me that same exact energy of faith, of your personality, of that humanity and benevolence. You are always compassionate, always helping, always able to see the light in others. And that makes sense because the light shined so brightly within yourself, it helped you to easily see it within others as well. So that was your strength in this past life, is just your compassion, your balance, your empathy. All of those types of things were very strong for you. Now with the 10 of Wands for your weakness, this has some stress, burden. The 10 of Wands actually can sometimes have some oppression, but there is accomplishment as well at the end of all of that stress and all of that burden with the 10 of Wands. So I do feel like this is saying your weakness was committing to things that had a longer date of completion, if that makes sense. Like you preferred not instant gratification, but you would prefer your gratification a little bit sooner than later. So your weakness, like for instance, say somebody came to you and said there needs to be some light work done and you have to put in all this effort and do this, but the end of the mission isn't going to come for a couple of years. You would have a really hard time saying yes to that or having the courage and determination to go after that job or that light work mission, because it's going to be a long time, a long road before you get to that accomplishment. So that was your weakness, is that delayed accomplishment was just a little bit hard for you. So certain missions you did struggle with when it came to your job, but overall you were able to stick it out even though it was a weakness. You just didn't feel as determined or courageous to go after those jobs where you would have to go down that long path to get to the end or that accomplishment, which is, understanding. This card here is going to let us know a lesson you did not complete in this past life. Ooh, we've got the Unakite light codes, energetic shift, new information, end of a cycle. That's so interesting. End of a cycle, and we're saying you did not complete something. So there feels like there was some sort of energy cycle, energy shift that you did not end up fully completing. Now, this feels like something to actually do with your light work. So I do think that there was some sort of, I don't want to say test, but almost more of an initiation. There was like an initiation for you to shift into this new level of being a light worker, because we've got that new information. So it's like shifting into a new level, or like the next level of being a light worker. So ending the cycle of where you currently were and going to the next. You didn't actually finish that. I am hearing Spirit say you were in the training to do this. You were working on it, but something did come up in this past life where you kind of put it to the side and you didn't complete it. So you were kind of in the training to become the next level of a light worker and to really transform into like that next ultimate version. And you were working on that, but you did not complete it fully. This is going to let us know how you passed away. We've got I'm sorry, defenselessness, righting past wrongs, and uprooting. Oh, wow. That's very interesting. This is like a shadow card. So coming out for how you had passed away, this actually feels like that first word I'm being very drawn to, defenselessness. I do believe you were out doing some light work, pile 3, and for whatever reason, your defenses actually got knocked down. So this could have been another being or, another person trying to stop this work that you were doing, as we do see that mirrored of like 2 people. So I do feel like there was another person involved in your passing. It wasn't, I'm hearing spirit say it was not natural. It was not natural. So this was actually your life being cut a little short by somebody else. Your defenses kind of got battered, broken, shattered down by this person. And they were able to essentially take you out, uproot you from this life. This person, essentially killed you. This person didn't get to you until quite later on in your life. So you lived a very full life. I'm hearing spirit say, 80% of your life you lived. So maybe there would have been another 20, 15, 20 years, something like that after you passed away. If this person, didn't do that to you, you would have still lived maybe another, I'm hearing for some 10 to 20 years. So, it did cut you short a little bit for sure in this life, but you did live the majority of this past life before, somebody essentially took you out and was the reason why you passed away. Your last card here is going to let us know how this past life is currently influencing you. So we've got the 10th house with authority. So that makes a lot of sense. I do feel like you had to have a lot of authoritative energy to do this job, to do this work, to be this being in this past life. So you're actually carrying that energy from this past life over into your current incarnation right now, pile 3. So if you do feel right now, currently in your life, that you are somebody who can step into that authoritative role pretty easily without fear or anxiety. Maybe there's a little bit there, but, less than the average person. It does feel like you're somebody who's just like, yeah, sure, I'll lead. If I have to, I'll do it. I can step up. I can do that. I can be that person. So know that authoritative energy that you feel currently is actually coming from this past life. And let's see, the card that you chose, the keywords here, we've got just reward, evaluation, and respite. It's interesting because I feel like that reward, it was kind of what we were talking about. You have some great energy coming from this past life. So this past life has rewarded you while you were living it, as well as, you're still carrying some helpful energies from it. This evaluation, I feel like, is talking about your job, is talking about this light work, this evaluating of environments or energies. And once you evaluated it, you would then find the best course of action to use your powers and your strength to conquer it and to transmute it, to release it, to do whatever you needed to do with that energy to bring light into the situation. As well as respite, I feel like that does touch on this job as well. You were helping to be that respite for others. You were that light worker, that healer, that shepherd of light, if you will, as we've got with this Red Shepherd card. So it almost feels like this was you traveling and transforming, shape-shifting, going out and being that shepherd of light, bringing the light to places that needed it. So wow, what a fascinating past life we have here, pile 3. That does wrap up your reading. Thank you so much. I hope it was insightful and helpful for you in some way. If you did enjoy it or anything resonated, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, share your experience in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss out on another reading. Sending you so much love and light. I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you in the next video. Hello, pile 3. You chose the Hades, Lord of Riches with the Sodalite. So let's just go ahead and set this over to the side here, and we'll see how it all ties in for you. So each card that you see here is a different aspect of your past life. So let's dive right into it, starting with your personality. Ooh, we've got Mahavatar Babaji, Soul Expansion. Your consciousness is expanding. You understand the connections between all things. Wow, I feel like this is a very interesting personality. You had that type of energy where you were always open to learning, to growing, to experiencing. You weren't somebody who was judgmental or closed in. You couldn't really put yourself in a box personality-wise because you were always, expanding, exploring. You had so much desire to learn and to understand everything around you as well as understand yourself. So this is a very inquisitive, very wise type of personality where you always were looking for knowledge to consume, to learn, and to grow and better yourself. This card will let us know what type of being you were, as not every past life is human. So we have, here we go, star being healing code. So important information, wounds are healed, recharging. So there you go, right there. You were not human, pile 4. This is a past life where you were a star being. And as you can see depicted here, this would more so be what you would have looked like. You were more light versus, a human body, which is dense and physical. So you were a cosmic star being. So let's see what you did for a job or what you did with your time. Oh, wow. We have bliss, cherishing the day. Pile 4, you were just enjoying life. I do not feel like you had a typical job like we would have as humans, like a 9-to-5 job or anything like that. It does actually feel like this past life was one where you were mostly enjoying yourself. You had so much bliss and happiness, and your main purpose or job, if you will, but your main purpose in this past life was to be happy, was to cherish, yourself and the things around you, the people in your life, the places that you were. So there was just this energy of making sure to live each day to the fullest and making sure that each day included genuine joy, bliss, and happiness. So what a beautiful purpose. Let's look into your family life. So we have the well, very interesting. So this is actually a major arcana added here from the creator of this tarot deck. And some of the energy and keywords with the well are nurturing, opportunity, nature, and creativity. So I do feel like this is tapping into the energy of your family. There was so much nurturing, loving energy coming from everybody in your family. And there was a lot of creativity too. You were very creative beings, and that makes sense with that personality you had of always wanting to learn and grow and expand. So others in your family were also very creative. They were open, they were connected, and they were always looking for those opportunities to learn and grow and expand themselves. So you actually have very similar energy to your family dynamic energy. I'm just hearing so loving, Spirit saying so loving. So you had such a loving, beautiful family in this past life. Next, let's see what shadow you healed. So we've got the 𝙍𝙀𝘼𝘼𝘿𝙄. So this is talking about the heart chakra. So it feels like you were able to heal some shadows, some wounds around your heart chakra in this past life. And that makes sense with spending, your time and energy to enjoy and to be blissful. That would definitely repair the heart chakra. I'm also hearing Spirit say that as you worked through the shadow and healed your heart, it became stronger, it became more potent, and it became more open. So super awesome that you were able to clear a shadow from your heart chakra, but also strengthen the heart chakra at the same time. Here we do have the environment or time frame that you lived in, and we have got open your heart coming out. So this is very interesting. I almost am feeling like this is saying it's a bit of a more, mystical interpretation, because we know you were a star being, so you were living in the cosmos among the stars. That was your environment, but this is almost giving me the message that wherever your heart desired to be, that was the environment that you were able to live in and be in. Because you have to remember, as a star being, you were so much more advanced than you are currently as a human when it comes to spirituality and oneness and understanding, that consciousness, understanding it all. We don't have, we are on a denser dimension here as humans versus the star beings. We don't have as much knowledge or information consciously as they do. So it does feel like wherever your heart space energy was in the cosmos, that was the environment that you were existing in and living in. And I'm feeling like you could have changed that or shifted it, because star beings also do not have linear time like we have here on Earth. So wherever your heart space was existing in the cosmos, that was the time and the environment that you lived in. And it's interesting because we almost see in this depiction, coming from this heart space, this planet, or, you know, this kind of globe of an environment. So as you can see, you were so powerful that the time frame and environment you lived in was coming from the heart space. You were creating that from your energy from within. It's hard to explain, but I hope you're understanding what I'm saying here, pile 4. This card will let us know your spiritual connection. So we have Paul the Venetian experiencing grace. Share your gifts with grace. Waves of inspiration and love are coming to you. So I do feel like this is kind of saying that you had a beautiful, graceful relationship with spirit, with the divine, and you had a deep spiritual connection where you were tapped in. Again, we have that rose on the heart space, right? You were tapped in so deeply to source energy, to spirituality, that you experienced spirituality with such grace. You just had these constant waves of light and love and inspiration and divinity coming to you because you were so connected, right? You understood consciousness and the connection between all things. So you had such a graceful relationship with spirituality. It was so natural to you. Let's see what your strengths and weaknesses were. So your strengths, we have 9 of Wands. Your weakness, we have the Sun. Okay, so very interesting. So the 9 of Wands has that energy of being persistent, hardworking, not giving up. As you can kind of see, you know, he's still got his wand in his hand, and he's got the rest up as like a barricade, and he's got that persistence. He's not going to give up. So that was your strength. You were very persistent, courage, determined, and that makes sense with that energy of your personality of wanting to learn and grow. You were determined to do that. So that was your strength. It's so interesting with your weakness being the Sun, because this card has positivity, success, joy, optimism. And what I find interesting is your job. Remember, what you were doing with your time in this past life was bliss, joy, optimism. So it's interesting that one of your weaknesses was those energies. I think that is why you were actually experiencing this past life, pile 4, because you had a harder time tapping into bliss and joy and happiness. So your soul decided to have this past life, have this incarnation where you spent most of your time experiencing bliss and happiness and figuring out how to enjoy it, because, you know, it's coming out as your weakness, which means that it was not something as natural or as organic to you. You had to work at it. So it makes a lot of sense why you spend all of your time, not all of it, but most of your time and energy experiencing bliss and joy, so that you could strengthen it, so that it could become something that your soul was, you know, stronger at than weaker. And again, that totally taps in with being able to strengthen your heart chakra. The more you experience bliss, the more this became a strength and not a weakness. I do feel like by the end of this past life, both of these became strengths. Like in the beginning, your ability to tap into joy and bliss and optimism were definitely weaker. But at the end of this past life, I feel like it was on par with all your other strengths. So it was definitely something that was worth putting time and effort into, because you came out in the end as a soul that has a strong relationship with bliss and happiness, and now you know how to tap into that. So I feel like there was a lot of meaning behind this past life. There was a lot of soul expansion that you were doing by just experiencing joy. It may seem like, oh, maybe you were just having fun and playing around in the cosmos, but no, there was a lot of deeper intentions why you had this past life. It was actually helping to strengthen your heart and to strengthen your soul's ability to understand and experience what true joy is. So here we do have a lesson that you did not complete in this past life. Oh wow, we have the Arcturian light codes, evolutionary downloads, recalling power and future thinking. That's so interesting. So Arcturians are a type of ET, a type of star being. So what this feels like that you did not complete was work with the Arcturian light beings. You were doing some sort of evolutionary light work, and it was helping you to recall your personal power. This wasn't necessarily like a project that you were working on with them that was external. This was something that you were working with the Arcturians on to help you internally. And you actually just did not finish this work. I don't feel like you needed to. It was almost like more of a side quest, if you will, in this past life, where you kind of had a few Arcturian friends and they were like, hey, on your free time, let's do this. We can help, to do this kind of evolutionary light work that can help to bring your power back. And you were like, yeah, sure, let's work on this, let's do this, but you just didn't end up going to all of the sessions per se, so you didn't actually fully complete whatever light work you were doing with the Arcturian friends you had. Let's look into how you passed away. We have you got the love, Hadarian energy, codependency, and boundaries. So let me tap in and see what I'm getting here for this one coming through. So what I'm getting is how you passed is there wasn't actually anybody else involved in your passing, because we've got that boundaries and that codependency. And what Spirit is telling me is there was no boundaries crossed by another person, and there was no like codependent link between your passing and another person or another situation. So what this is saying is your passing was it was natural, it was organic, and it was standalone. There was nothing that got in the way of how you were naturally supposed to pass in this past life. And that's why we've got the love coming out as well, because this was, you finished out this life in completeness and in love and balance and in harmony. And when it was your time to go, no one messed with you, no one, changed the timeline. No one accidentally came in and killed you before you were supposed to pass. Like nothing like that happened. So there was just a lot of love and completeness at the end of this life, and there was nobody who messed with the natural progression and the natural organic way that you actually, were supposed to pass in this life. So it does feel like you lived a very full, a very complete, a very happy, a very blissful life as this being, as this star being. This last card will let us know how this past life is currently influencing you. So we do have third house with communication. This does make a lot of sense as you were somebody experiencing bliss a lot. You had a loving family. So you weren't somebody who was isolated. You were communicating a lot. You had this deep connection with spirit. You were always expanding, growing, learning. And I feel like this bliss was with other people. It's not like you were just going out by yourself every day experiencing bliss. There were a lot of people around you. I'm hearing a large community, Spirit is saying, a big group of people that you would always be around, and different people at that. So if you feel like currently pile 4, you're pretty good at communication in your current life, and communication isn't necessarily something that trips you up or makes you fearful or anxious. It's something that's pretty natural to you, and you actually enjoy speaking to others, learning things, growing. That's all coming from this past life as this star being, that you are carrying the energy of communication that you had back then. You still have that in your soul and your energy and your aura currently. So wow, what a cool past life pile 4. I do hope you enjoyed your reading. That does wrap us up. Thank you so much. If it was insightful or anything resonated for you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, share your experience in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss out on another reading. Sending you so much love and light. I hope you have a magical day. I'll see you in the next video.